What's going on there, everybody? Hope you're all having a fantastic day today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, in today's video, we're going to take a little second to discuss the brand new shotgun that has been introduced into Battlefield 6, the DB12. Now, I am a tad bit late because, first and foremost, obviously, I had to go ahead and unlock it, which I did a little while ago, but I needed multiple different days to test it out. You guys know how I am. I'm like this with maps, updates, all of the above. I just need some time, I don't think in my first sitting I can truly discuss something to its, max potential. But now that I've given it a little bit of time and I grinded out a decent portion and I got some more attachments and I really, messed with it, I think I can come to a conclusion on how I feel. And of course, I'm not the all-knowing God. So make sure you guys go down in the comment section and leave your opinions on how you feel about the DB12 shotgun. And, just fill me in on all the details. But ladies and gentlemen, of course, before we go and dive on deep, if you guys are interested in more content like this, don't forget to subscribe and that bell. It posts twice here, once at 8 a.m. Eastern Time and the second time at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And also, if you guys are interested in my live streams, I do stream Monday through Saturday over on Twitch starting at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. If you guys are interested, got a link that channel down in the description of this video. Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, as I stated, the DB12 shotgun. This thing, when I first saw it, I was actually extraordinarily excited because I love this weapon all around. But, after getting a decent amount of playtime with this thing, I will say it's definitely underwhelming. And I think the general consensus of, the online community is that the DB12 shotgun is just complete garbage. Sadly, I don't see anybody rocking this thing. I don't see anyone using it in-game. And every single time I log on to either Twitter or Reddit, it's just never-ending hate for the overall weapon, saying it's just, again, it's trash. It's not worth your time to either unlock, and if you do unlock it, don't even bother, trying to grind it, get more attachments, and just try to enjoy yourself, because 9 times out of 10, it's going to lead to rage. And I will agree to a certain extent, and I do think that, the pump action and also the M10 are tremendously better in every way possible. But that doesn't mean the DB12 shotgun can't, have potential. I see what DICE has done here, and when they introduced this into the game, I can tell that they didn't want another OP shoddy, because as I just stated, the other two, when it comes to close quarter maps, absolutely filthy. Honestly, even the medium range maps and all of the above, if you know how to work the maps and work your engagement ranges, you'll just tear up a whole team with the shotties in this game. So I know for a fact they didn't want to introduce another one that just becomes extraordinarily dominant, but at the same time, they had to try to find a way to make it fun and enjoyable to use. And it's a rough spot that we're in right now, ladies and gentlemen. On one hand, the gun is actually pretty fun, It's a cool weapon to equip, and you want to just run around and have a good time. It has 16 rounds in it, which is pretty enjoyable to just keep on blasting and blasting and blasting without having to really worry about reloading. And on top of that, it's just a cool, style of shotgun. Who doesn't love, getting a couple of shots out and then cranking it a little bit, getting a couple more shots out, cranking it. It's always an enjoyable time. And I will say, when it works properly, you can get a little bit of range on this thing. I'm not going to lie. Not as much as I stated as the other shotguns, but, you can definitely beam some people down. But on the downside, it's very inconsistent, and it's slow at the same exact time. Some engagements, as I just stated, at a little bit of range, you'll just absolutely obliterate someone, and in other occurrences, it just tickles them. You know what I'm saying? It does absolutely no damage. Basically, the first shot is going to be 80 damage, meaning that you have to hit them 2 times with this bad boy. You can't just simply go ahead and hit them once like the other shotties if you can close the gap to a certain range. No, doesn't matter. Even point blank, you must get 2 shots into your opponent. And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is exactly why I believe people do not enjoy this weapon, because, as a shotgun, if you close the gap, you really want that one shot, you want that pretty consistently. And it's not like it's a, fully automatic shotgun. You get a couple of shots and you have to crank it, so there's time in between. So when people get up close and personal and they hit that first shot but whiff the second one, it's just like a huge slap in the face, and it's like, why? Why must this happen? So I can see this weapon being more hated on, the side of the players who might not have the best accuracy. And, they might like fully automatic weapons because it can kind of make up for not being able to stay on target as much. And even if you're just having an inconsistent day, it will still throw you off. As I stated, if you do not land both shots perfectly, you are not going to get the overall kill. Now, this wouldn't be as bad if it wasn't for the slowness of the shotgun. Every single time in between, a couple of shots, it takes 2 centuries for you to go ahead and pump it. And that right there is what I think is the biggest problem. Personally, I don't think it should get a buff in damage whatsoever. As I stated before, and the reason why I think DICE did this is because we already have two very, outstanding shotguns in the game. And people complain about them all the frickin' time. Let's be real here. Even me myself, I enjoy using shotguns, but when I die by a shotgun, I'll still be like, shotgun, I think we all share this, similar mentality that they're fun, but at the same time, dying to them could be very obnoxious if they're tuned correctly. And I don't think they wanted to add in another one. I think that they understood that it'll probably get a lot of feisty people involved. Not feisty at first, because it's a new gun and people will want to use it and try it and, engage with it. But as time goes on, that annoyance is going to grow. So I think they wanted to find a nice balance. And also, if this thing one-tapped, well, you can, spam it twice, that would be pretty overwhelming as well. So I think the damage should stay exactly where it's at. But the biggest change that I think that should happen here, my personal constructive criticism, is that they should up the fire rate of this thing. IRL, in real life, this thing can be shot pretty quickly. If you ever watched anybody, put in some work with this bad boy, it's not a slow weapon whatsoever, right? It's very quick. And you would think in the heat of the moment, in a game especially, you'll be able to be very mobile with it. But in Battlefield 6, it's the complete opposite of this. Like I said, after every couple of shots, you have to wait forever for the pump to go on through. And when you're up close and personal, it makes you want to be extraordinarily accurate, because if you miss those two first shots, you're not going to be able to get the next two, in and good to go by the time someone already sprays you down. The time to kill in Battlefield 6 is very quick, and pretty much anything that's fully automatic is going to give an advantage over weapons that might have a little bit of a pause in between, including the DB12, where yes, you might get 2 consecutive shots, but again, as I stated, the first shot isn't going to kill unless they're already damaged, so that means you have to hit 2 shots back to back, and if your accuracy isn't feeling that great for the day, you might not be able to hit 2 shots back to back like that. And once that pause happens, you're wiped. I'm sorry to say, you're going to get cleaned up. It doesn't matter the skill level of the player. Like I said, people who even might not have the best accuracy, they might not like the DB12 because of that pause, but fully automatics, they'll be fine. They'll probably opt into fully automatics because that factor gives them a little leeway with not having the best accuracy, which is, that's great and all. That's fantastic. And allows everybody to find a little bit of fun with the game, but it takes away a lot of the competitive edge of the DB12. Because, as I stated, once that happens, it's done. It's not like the pump action where I see someone, and if my accuracy is good enough, I can still clap them in one hit, you know what I'm saying? Or the M10, even the M10 will wipe someone clean. It's not like that, and the M10 is obviously a semi-auto, so you can keep on going if you're, missing shots. This is very particular, and I think the only way it can be fixed up to at least playable spot is to go ahead and increase the fire rate. The damage is fine. I don't care having to put in 4 shots or more at, different ranges, or even if I miss my first 2, I'll have to get another 2 out there up close and personal. Who cares? I'm perfectly fine with it. But it's the pause that is my biggest annoyance. The long, horrifying pause that allows any player to just absolutely wipe you clean with a fully auto. And you're just kind of left there sitting, thinking to yourself, why even use this? If up close and personal, where a shotgun shines the most, if an AR can just come up and mop me more consistently than I can, get them up close and personal, then we have a little bit of an issue here. But if that fire rate was increased, at least for me, that would completely resolve the issue. Because if I did end up missing one of the shots out of the first 2, it won't be an issue because I can still get the next 2 in, at least a moderate pace. And it doesn't need to be cracked out like it's a fully automatic shotgun, right? No, that doesn't need to be the case. It just needs to be faster than what it is right now. I just feel like that consistency is rough. And especially for, more casual players who aren't, trying to invest a ton of time into getting some cracked out aim and all that stuff. It just makes it kind of, just unusable. And then, of course, for players who do have some pretty decent accuracy, it just becomes an annoyance. And as I stated, you think, why use this over the other options when I can get a guaranteed kill up close and personal at a more consistent basis? I think that would resolve this issue, and they wouldn't have to buff the damage. They wouldn't have to make it another overpowered shotty. It would just be a more fast shotgun. You have to be, accurate, of course, because, it is going to be a pump in between, but it's not going to completely penalize you, and you can still get another couple of shots out if you do end up missing. And that's not going to stop the fully auto players from being able to spray you down. Not even close, but at least it will allow you to have a little bit more of a competitive edge up close and personal if you do, as I stated, end up missing a couple of your shots. But ladies and gentlemen, like I said, I'm not any all-knowing God. For some reason, as I always state, people come to YouTube videos and think that, when a content creator shares their opinion about something, they're trying to talk like, that is the only opinion allowed. No, not even close. This is just how I feel about the DB12 shotgun. I would love to see what you guys have to say about this thing down in the comment section below. Do you like it? Do you hate it? And if you do like it, share why and, give your opinions about it. Let me know if you think it's good, how it's good, and what situations you're using it. So on and so forth. Fill me in on the details, because I think the more information, the better, and we can truly understand if it needs to be buffed or if it's fine exactly where it's at. But, ladies and gentlemen, as always, if you enjoyed today's video, leave a like. If you hate it, leave a dislike. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell. Post twice here, once at 8 a.m. Eastern Time and a second time at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And also, if you guys are interested in my live streams, I do stream Monday through Saturday over on Twitch starting at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Of course, guys are interested, go link that channel down in the description of this video. But as always, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you all next one. Peace out.